Hey everybody, my name is Tanner Mulvihill. I'm the owner of Bayfield Home Loans, and I'm joined today by Ashville Park resident, top producing real estate agent, Heather St. Clair. Heather, how are you today?
I'm great. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Well, same to you. I love that we're doing these videos, and I'm getting to learn a little bit more about Ashville Park. I've driven through the neighborhood, beautiful homes, left and right, but I have no idea on the history. And it's interesting having you lived in different models, but really have been in the neighborhood a long time, almost from the beginning. Tell me a little bit about the history. What do we got dealing with? So the folks that are watching this at home that just moved in 3 years ago, tell us about it.
Yeah, so Ashville Park originally started years ago with a different developer than who we have now. And they unfortunately weren't able to keep the capital that they needed in order to really build out the homes. So what the planning was originally for our 5 villages has really shifted. So when they could no longer keep the development, it became bank owned years and years ago. And from there, a developer out of California named HomeFed came in, and they were one of the people that bid on the entire neighborhood. So they oversee all of the development. And even though we have different villages with different builders, they really are the boss, so to speak. And so they came in with a vision, and they built a lot on the West Coast, and they used that vision and built here. And I think that's what makes the neighborhood so unique, and also what brought so much attention to us. So, essentially it's about 600 acres in all, the whole neighborhood. And about 300-ish are green space. So it is walking trails, 19 ponds. A lot of them are stocked. So it's a lot of catch and release fishing. Did I say walking trails? There is a community center with a junior Olympic pool. It's the only neighborhood in South Virginia Beach that has a neighborhood swim team. There are 2 parks, a dog park, basketball courts. There's all of these things that this developer created a whole community, so to speak. Yeah. So a lot of times when you're on the West Coast, you'll see these gated communities, security, all these things. It's the same idea, a little bit scaled down, a little bit more East Coast, Virginia Beach, Tidewater area, but that's the overall idea. So, and what we've essentially gone to is 3 right now, villages, and that's pretty much where it'll stay. We gave over 1 village to some green space. We put a bunch of trees on there. We opened that up. And then the very last village, it looks like, is going to also be given back to the city in order to create some more green space. So really upholding the integrity of this area, but the developer has done a great job with creating this community and giving a lot of amenities to this space.
Yeah, and especially so it's nice that you had a deep pocket developer come in who had built larger versions of what they have created for the residents of Ashville Park in the Virginia Beach area. So that's pretty cool that, they had the expertise and they had the vision. So that's worked out nicely. Now, one of the things you mentioned that we're going to basically be keeping it at the 3 different communities within the community. So how does the build out look? Is this another 10 years on the project? Like what do they got left?
No, so we're in the final phase of our 3rd village. That village is called Grandview Village. And that actually is, every home is being built by a local builder called Chesapeake Homes. They build a lot in the area. And so they have all of Grandview Village, and, give or take a little bit of time, I think completion will be in the next 2 years. And then everything will be resale. For the year 2025, it's estimated around 30-ish homes are left. But when I say 30-ish homes, that also includes home sites. So there's no home on them per se. And you can come in and build from, a couple of different models that they have. But really from there, it's just around a 10-month build time. And so if you kind of do the math, there's some lots that aren't available yet, but projection wise, it's going to be about 2 years. And then everything at that point will go into the resale category. And our resale category is really tough to get.
Yep. So and that's a great point. Let me just pull up some of the stuff for sale, and then you go ahead and kind of give the people an idea what we're looking at and just the different models and stuff.
So these here that are listed on the MLS, these are actually listed by the builder itself.
Okay.
And so what this is a stock photo of different models that are available on that lot.
Okay.
So some of those lots have all of their models available. Some of those lots are designated for very specific models. So it just depends.
Okay.
You go and you take a buyer's agent like me. We walk into the office. They have a map on the wall, and we just look at location of the lots, and we talk about different models and what's available. And you try to match up with what you're looking for with a lot that you would like to be on. There are right now, currently as of today, so this will probably age itself out. We could come back 30 days from now and we'll have a different story. But as of today, there are 9 available in Grandview. So 5 of them are just home sites that are available. You'll have your option of different models. You can build start to finish. That's that 10-month build time. 4 of them are builder curated homes. So the lots are already picked. The homes are already picked. A lot of the options are picked. But in some situations, and I've done this myself with multiple buyers back there, you can pick the color of your home, the flooring, the cabinets, but you are getting that lot with that home. So right now there's 9, and this is, one of the models available. So right now there's 9 in Grandview Village that you can choose from. So that's a decent amount.
Yeah.
When you consider the other 2 villages have 1 and 2 models available that are resale, and they're tough to get into. This is really a great way to get into the neighborhood.
Well, and I think for a lot of folks that are on tight timelines to move into a particular neighborhood or want to move into a particular neighborhood, I'm military coming to the area. I am on tight timeline. I don't necessarily have the option to kind of see how the bidding wars go in the spring and summer for me. And so being able to get the new construction, especially one that's already done, it's just let's move in. It's beautifully finished. Then it's easy to do. Looking at kind of the different price points, what catches my eye obviously is that for the new development or the new section, looks like everything's pretty much crossing $1 million. So that's kind of the entry point. Yeah.
Easily. Some of their models start in the very, very high $900,000 range. The one thing that I give them kudos to, and I say this with, right now I have 5 people under contract in Grandview.
Wow. Building
homes. The one thing that I just give them kudos to is that you can walk into their design center with a budget. And that can be so intimidating to people. Yeah. I don't want to walk in there and walk out $300,000 later from my $995,000 price point, and I've spent way more than I anticipated. You don't have to do that. They have designers that are trained and they know what they're doing, and they're amazing, and they can create this home for you with your budget in mind, and they can work with you to pick out things that make your home stunning. And so you don't have to drop another $300,000. Their options are actually really great. So kudos to them for saying these homes are worth what you're spending on them, because they can really curate beautiful homes at a very decent price. And so it's still very indicative of the area. It's difficult to get in this zip code and the surrounding area, for much less than that. So, you want a home that's bigger and a home that's newer. This is really right on point for market value.
And this is a good example that I'd pulled up here of this. This was 2944 Weston Loop, and this one recently closed. And just looking at it, I mean, it could have just fallen out of any real estate magazine that you top real estate magazine to look at. The color choices were just beautiful for as we've kind of evolved on the different styles and different colors. I really like the kitchen. And I was looking at just kind of like you mentioned the size. One thing else that I caught my eye too is this bathroom. Bathroom is beautiful. The shower, I got a little jealous on that shower. I'm not gonna lie. That
shower is a little bit of an upgrade, I will say. I know that, but it's still, when you think about in terms of pricing, there's some things that people will balk at and say, oh my gosh, but there's other things that you're like, wait, that's it to do that? Okay, that makes sense. And so they're beautiful homes. Their selections and options are great. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've walked into design centers and been a little bit less than thrilled with the way things are handled. I I walk into their design center and I've been pretty happy and surprised more than once. So they do a
That's
great job.
awesome. Now, well, you mentioned kind of, that you have 5 that are building right now,
Yeah.
and what are they? What are some of the things that your clients are really enjoying about working with the builder that's handling those?
The design team. They have a great design team. They feel like they can walk into the design center and get what they need or get what they want, I should
Mhm.
say. And, listen, every once in a while, we convince ourselves we need this certain type of flooring or coffered ceiling or whatever. And then you get the price and you get disappointed for a minute. But then it's
Right,
like when your finished product, you get to walk through this and see your finished product. You quickly forget about that one option maybe you couldn't get. But
right.
I've really had most of my clients. So, 5 right now under contract. Last year, I want to say I had 7 or 8 overall. And so out of all of them, it's very few and far between that there's something that really just that stunk about that process. But everybody's really happy with the design process. So I think what people get disappointed in sometimes is maybe they can't pick the exact lot that they wanted, but that's because they waited a little bit too long. And so that's the other thing. When certain lots become available and they're highly coveted, people are going to go for them. And so the one thing I'll say about this is they sell very well. And
Yeah.
if you want it, jump on it.
Clearly, and the model, the homes that they do are a beautiful home. I mean, you can,
Yeah.
if you look at enough homes, you can definitely tell the quality and the craftsmanship
Mhm.
is outstanding. And I mean, I love the tray ceilings. Just all of it looks like this is a home you're going to have a long time, and you're going to be able to,
Yes.
if you do eventually move on, you're going to be in good shape and be able to sell no problem. So that's awesome.
And I will
Um,
say one last thing about this builder. A lot of these models that you're seeing were models from another subdivision that they created, actually also in the south end of Virginia Beach. And what they did was during COVID, they tweaked their models, added some additional things, and really it was more stay at home living. There are a lot more home office spaces. There are Zoom rooms. There are these things that just create a life that you want to be home for.
yeah,
And so that's the thing about these models is you walk in and like you said, they're beautiful and it makes you want to stay home
right.
because they're great spaces and there's a lot of things they haven't thought of because everyone was staying home at the time that they were tweaking their designs. So they've thought about that in the process of creating the designs for this neighborhood.
And it's becoming such a way of life, both you, obviously out and about with clients, but
Mhm.
also kind of you have your home office and then you do
Yeah,
your
I'm
work
in it
there
right
and then
now.
you're
Yeah,
right. And as
yeah,
do I.
yeah,
And just it's really cool that the things are shifted so fast for that new way of life for everybody.
yeah.
And it's just a beautiful home. Now, let's see. Do you want to touch on a little bit kind of the current resale market in Asheville Park?
Yeah. So back in December, I think November-ish, the end of November, beginning of December was the last time we talked. So in December, 3 homes closed to Rainier Village. That's our smaller village. Those lots are smaller and maybe like about a quarter of an acre. And
Okay.
so that village in and of itself had 3 close in December. And then we just recently had 1 more go under contract. So right now we only have 2 available in Rainier. That's going to be your lower price point, and those are going to be in the high 7s, low 8s. And then in Wilshire Village, that's the bigger, older village. We're talking brick homes. Most of us are half-acre lots there. They didn't have any close in December because there's only been 1 available and that's it for this one. So
Gotcha.
the rest that closed 2 were in the newer section of the neighborhood. So Rainier still has 2 available. The one you have here is Wilshire Village. That's one that's available. It has a pool. It's a corner lot. They actually just took a price reduction to $979.9, which is an amazing price to get into this home. This one, I just, 2 months from now would be in a different situation. And so you and I kind of talked about before we
Yeah.
got online this morning, this is kind of our slow season. And May to June is when all of the guys with the military orders their families are starting to come here for their orders. And so right around the same time, everyone's bidding on the same houses. This is that slow time. And if you want the opportunity to get one of these houses, do it now.
Yes.
And that one you just showed on Kittredge Drive in Wilshire Village, that's one of those homes that like, that should be under contract. And if your orders are coming May and June, like that is such a good spot.
It definitely is. And we, as we talked about, the prices of pools always amaze me, how much a pools go for these days. And so especially one that the papers on the one that we just looked at, beautiful. And so I'm sure it'll be gone by the time we're chatting next.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
But okay, let's wrap it up for the folks. What are your thoughts on kind of what are we looking at for the spring market right now? What are you feeling in the air?
I will say I have a few listings coming up in Ashville Park in and of itself for the spring.
Okay.
But again, that's that market that everyone's going to be competing in again. And, everyone's thinking about their military orders and getting here in time for May and June. So that is going to be that market that I think is going to take off for us. And so as we sit here today, I think this is that great time to jump in because I know that the listings, even just that I have available, and certainly I'm not the only one here, we're going to see some great things with them. So I don't, I guess, what is your opinion on where do you see the spring market in lending? Like, what do you think?
I personally think that now is your best time to buy because as the spring comes, it's going to heat up. And, a lot of folks are kind of turned off on the rate right now. But for a lot of military folks, I specialize in VA. I do a lot of VA IRRRL refinances. That's where you take your interest rate from, let's say, 6.5 down to 5.5 when rates drop. I do them with no closing costs. So it makes a lot of sense. Yes, it's a bummer that they're not lower right now, but I would rather personally have a slightly higher payment per month and not have to compete against 5 people on the same house that would have cost me 30, 40,000 to win it. And then just be able to refinance later when the opportunity comes up. So,
right. And I do think that with lenders, mortgages are hard to get. You have to really be able to make that payment. So while you feel like, gosh, this payment feels so high or, 7% interest rate, what does that feel like to me? Well, the reality of it is if your lender says you can afford it, you can, and there's a way to do it. And so prices are only going to appreciate, except what the rate is. It's still a great rate. And so, I keep saying that to people, whether you're able to refinance in a year or two or not, this is still a great interest rate. And so where I purchased, 25 years ago in my first home and where we are now is significantly lower, but the prices are significantly higher. Yeah. So I just think this is our new norm and everyone needs to quit worrying about when their rates are going to fall as opposed to what is the best opportunity for me to get a home without having to do all these extra things and forego things that, you want a home inspection. Don't forego that. Get in there, get a home inspection, get the home that you want, do it when you can. And so I think now's the time. And I do encourage a lot of my buyers. You and I also started this morning talking offline. I have people from California moving here in May and June. I'm encouraging them to purchase a house now because May and June, trying to move your family across the country, trying to bid on homes in a spring market during our busy season is just way more difficult than doing what you can now. So,
Yep. I concur with that wholeheartedly. And, even if you don't get the first one in this current market, you have a better opportunity to get the things you want, home inspection, price point, all those things.
Right.
It's makes a lot of sense. Well, Heather, we're going to be back next month and we're going to take a look at the market that we got and the values in Ashville Park continue just keep going up for the homeowners. And it's a beautiful, beautiful neighborhood. So thanks again for joining me.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.